NuCedar shingles are designed to replicate the look of real traditional shingles. We have a patented brushing technique which will give each piece a different color and shading. Our product has a factory-coated finish by PBG. It is a waterborne acrylic urethane paint formulated with the solar reflective pigments for a long-lasting finish. Your NuCedar should be stored in the shade on a flat surface. Do not store in any location where the ambient temperatures may exceed 120 degrees Fahrenheit. Some examples are on blacktop pavement or under a dark tarp. NuCedar needs to be installed over a solid flat surface, such as OSB or plywood. Do not install over open framing.
NuCedar offers two different size shingles, a 13-inch shingle and an 18-inch shingle. 13-inch exposure can be used for 5 inches or less, and an 18-inch shingle can be used for 7 inches or less. NuCedar shingles are just as easy to install as wood shingles. You need the same basic tools: nail gun, hammer, exterior grade rig shank nails, or 7/16" or larger wide crown stainless steel staples. Fill and flex is used on the back of the shingles in the high concentrated heat areas. Caulking gun, either a saw or a sharp blade. Measuring tape, touch-up paint. You may want to use a man-made jig that allows you to cut the courses easier to install without a measuring tape. So when you're prepping a wall for a NuCedar product, you want to make sure that your flashing is done correctly. There's no bumps or bruises, your walls are straight and true. We do recommend that you use a watertight barrier for your house wrap. Inspect the product before installing. Do not install any defective shingles. If they're not coated properly or if they're chipped, do not install them. When trying to figure out your courses of shingles, you want to measure the height of the wall and divide it by your exposure. Adjust your exposure so you can line up with the bottom and the top of the window, and at your final course you want to leave at least 4 inches exposure on the top. Prior to installing NuCedar shingles, all your trim and corners should be installed. Go to our website and refer to our installation guide. For your starter course, you should cut the exposure off the bottom of the shingle and save it for further use as your top course. In each box of shingles, there's 5 different lifts. On 4, 5, and 6, you want to use 2 fasteners. 7, 8, and 9, you want to use 3 fasteners. The fasteners should be approximately 1 inch from the edge and no further than a ½ inch above the exposure. If our shingles are going to be installed in a high heat reflective area, such as up against a deck, low E windows, or roof lines, additional fasteners may be required, such as fill and flex on the back or brad nails. When fastening the shingles, you must be at least a ½ inch into the substrate. Do not overdrive the shingles, this will cause cracking and curling. You want to leave approximately 1/8 of an inch keyway in between each shingle. This will allow the shingle to expand and contract. Each keyway should be offset by at least 1.25 inches. Our shingles are designed to be installed 40 degrees or higher. If the temperature is below 40 degrees, you must store the shingles in a heated job trailer, or you can pre-drill them before nailing them up. If the temperature is too cold, they will crack as you nail them.
There are 2 different ways you can do your corners with shingles. One is to use standard trim. Just make sure you leave a ½ inch gap in between the trim and the shingles. That'll allow it to expand and contract. The second option is to do what is known as the woven corner. To create this, you alternate shingle courses on both sides of the wall, ripping every other factory edge, touching up the planed edge on each side. NuCedar shingles are the only synthetic shingle in the market that can be heat bent and used for flare-type applications. It gives a nice feature to your home. You may want to pre-drill your shingles before installing, and make sure you have fill and flex handy. For your starter course, it can be done the same way as you would at the bottom of your home. Your shingles are already flexible, however, you may want to add heat to give it the desired curve that you need for your flare. You can use heat tape or heat gun to warm up your shingle. Do not put the heat gun on the shingle. It could burn and leave marks. For an aggressive flare, you may want to use a heat blanket. Once you're to your softening point, add fill and flex to the back of the shingle and install the same as you would against the wall. Once the material cools, it will harden into place. For the last course, if it's easier, you can use a razor blade to cut the length and snap off the ends. For aesthetics, nail in a straight line, you can use your touch-up paint to cover the nail heads and give it the desired look. Please touch up all of the planed cut edges and any damaged edges that you had from installation. To safely clean your NuCedar product, a mixture of warm water and mild detergent or a household cleaner should work great. To remove any mold or mildew, you can use a mild commercial mold or mildew remover. We do not recommend using a pressure washer. It could ruin the rough-on texture of your product. Now that you've installed your NuCedar shingles, you can enjoy your house with minimal maintenance for years to come. Visit our website at jainbuildingproducts.com for any more questions on the NuCedar product